So what's the state of the Six Nations Championship 2022? We've had 2 rounds. Let's have a look at the table, the results so far, and the fixtures to come. And I just want to give a little snapshot of my thought of the championship for each of the teams. And I really want you guys to tell me what you think of the teams and how you think it's going to go from this point on. I'm not really going to talk about individual players. It's more the teams as a whole and where I see they are at. Let's start at the bottom of the table with Italy. Obviously, no wins so far. Are they improving? That is the question. Well, yeah, I think they are. I can really see some good stuff from them. They put in a big performance, I thought, against France, effort-wise. Against England, I thought the energy was a little bit lower. I think they got dispirited by all the mistakes they made, which didn't put them in the game. I think they were definitely capable of scoring a few tries against England, but they didn't do it. So that's going to be disappointing for them for sure. Now, Italy have one more home game. It's versus Scotland, and I think that is now the huge target. Not because it's Scotland per se, but because it's their last home game where I think they can have their best chance of winning. So they're going to have to go really big towards that and at very least be close to winning or be in the game all the way through. That England game got away from them because of all the mistakes and penalties they gave away in that first half. My prediction, do I think they're going to win? Well, no, I'll stick by it. I don't think so, but the ability is there. We've seen what they do, under 20s level. They've got lots of players coming through, so it's coming probably. I'm not sure it's this year, but that home game versus Scotland is probably the one they really need to go for. Let's look at Wales. 1 win, 1 loss. Obviously, that huge win versus Scotland. Now, it was a bit alarm bells against Ireland because it was a very poor performance, albeit against Ireland away from home. But that win against Scotland will give them huge belief. They're still in the championship, but it's incredibly hard. They've established a nice base level of performance there. The forwards were very solid. The backs were very solid. There's nothing, amazing, but there's nothing poor about that Scottish performance. And they're maybe lacking just a little bit of stardust in individual players. One of the players who, could have been a bit of that stardust, Lewis Rees-Zammit, has had issues, made mistakes, so he hasn't been firing. Some good news though, they are going to start getting players back. Faletau looks like he should be back in 2 weeks. Played for Bath, looked really good actually. That could be significant. They probably need a little bit more. I think they're a little bit ordinary in places, second row centres, but the effort, the commitment was definitely there against Scotland. Anyway, prediction, probably only one more win versus Italy, to be honest, because they've got some hard fixtures coming up. England away, and then they're at home, but it's against France the next 2 games. That's really tough. As long as they put in those big, decent performances, I think that's the main thing. Could they sneak a win? Absolutely, but like I said, lacking a bit of punch, lacking a bit of stardust potentially. Faletau's going to help, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough to beat England and France, but absolutely possible. Let's talk about Scotland, who will be absolutely devastated not beating Wales. It was their own fault. They didn't play well enough. They made too many errors. But they're very dangerous. Their attack really looks good, has improved, I think, since the autumn. 2 mirror image scores, a close win versus England, a close loss versus Wales. But they really needed to win that Wales game because the next games, they've got France and then Ireland away. Probably unlikely to win both, to be honest, and they need to win both to stay in the championship. So I think their championship has probably gone because of that. They really needed to beat Wales, to be honest. That is pretty much the bottom line. I think they will beat Italy, but I think, like I said, that loss against Wales probably blows it. Can't see them winning both of those games, France and Ireland, like I said. What sort of performances can they put in? I think their forwards really need to step up a bit because they've been just struggling a bit collectively. Certainly against England they did. And also consistency, as always. So Scotland, I'm not quite sure where they go from here. Let me know what you think. Now, Ireland are in a funny place, really. They performed really well in their first 2 games, although not quite enough to beat France away from home. It's a tough gig, certainly, trying to do that, but I think the performance was pretty good. If they're going to win the championships, they need someone else to do them a bit of a favour and beat France, probably. England away, is a big challenge for them as well. That'll be interesting to see where they're at there. If they beat England away, that's a fantastic result as well. Very capable of doing it. And all their personnel seem on really good form. I think that's the big positive there. They've got a full stack of players pretty much. They're all on form. They've got combinations. They've got some depth. So pretty happy even though they lost to France. So prediction is still a chance to win for sure, but it's a little bit out of their hands. But they're continuing their form from the autumn, which I think is the main thing, keeping that momentum going. So on to England. Now, sometimes I'm a little bit critical of England because they're my team. I want them to do well. I think there's a bit more in them, but there are definite positives there. Although I think that last 20 minutes versus Scotland, they're a bit of a meltdown, probably cost them the championship, but there's still a chance there. They're on the same number of points as Ireland, although obviously their win is against Italy and Ireland have got that to come. The attack has definitely evolved. It is looking better, and Marcus Smith is certainly the key. I think they're missing a few components, second row, speed and power, the centre balance, but I'll come to that when I do a selection video for sure. But there is potential to get a lot better. They're going to have to win all the rest of their games. Like I said, it's possible, but really hard, so we'll see where they go. Hopefully they can continue improving. Now on to the favourites, France, and they've done what they needed to do. They've gone 2 from 2, beating Ireland at home. That was tough, but they got it done, and that opens up the door to the championship and maybe even the Grand Slam. And they are scary powerful, scary individual ability, although I think it's fair to say they haven't clicked just yet in attack, getting loads of phases together, so there is definitely scope to improve. And they are beatable, they don't look invincible, but all the personnel are there, and like I said, defence, contact area, scary power, phenomenal stuff. Sean Edwards, I'm sure, has a big hand in that as well. And that close win versus Ireland was absolutely key. Do you think they're going to do it? Well, I'm feeling Grand Slam, actually, although many of you say there's not going to be a Grand Slam, but I think they probably will. We'll see. So as an overview, a thrilling start to the Six Nations, definitely the best annual international competition, and the really close games is what makes it. Some of them you can't call, some really tight stuff, and hopefully as Italy start to get better, there'll be even more tight games as well. Now, a few questions. Can anyone beat France? Can anyone else apart from France beat Ireland? Are they really the class above? Let's see when they play the rest. Wales' performance versus Scotland was really good. Is that their ceiling at the moment though? Is that the best they can do with the players they have, or do they have another gear, or are they going to have to wait for reinforcements from injury to come back? And then can Italy produce that big huge performance, that 80-minute performance of quality to get their win? I'm not so sure, but let me know if you think they can. So guys, please let me know how you would round up the state of the championship after round 2 and all the key factors you would like to discuss as well. Anyway guys, I'll catch you next time.